I was living in London, I was growing in my career, everything was going in a certain direction. And then out of the blue, Black Swan event, take a random town in the UK, not to bash the UK, and say, will this town look better, or this city look better, be better to live in 10 years' time? So in the end I decided to leave the UK. It was a whole load of reasons. But then I went and explored the world.
One place, but where would it be?
One place.
I said, today you're going to live there for the rest of your life.
I would say the best places right now.
Luca G, back on the podcast. It's been a while. I've had to deal with some other sides of the business, but I'm back and I had to bring back Luca G.
It's good to be back. It's been a long time out of the game, but the podcasts are back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an exciting time.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? Your followers just keep on growing organically. You know, you got 15 million, 10 billion views. I mean, it just keeps growing. So, you know, what have you been up to recently? What's been happening in Luca G's world?
Well, a lot. I'd say. Where do I start with that? I mean, since we last spoke, I was living in England.
Yeah.
I had less followers.
Organic.
Since then, I've gone around the world.
Yeah.
I've sort of lived a totally different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And left the UK.
Yeah.
For certain reasons.
Been through a pandemic as well.
Yeah. We've gone through that. I mean, it's been a total shift in the world. I think since the last pod you did, the world has changed so much.
Yeah, 100%.
I think if you have to move with the times.
Yeah.
So I've found myself as well having to change directions because of all the craziness that's gone on. And I think so many people have.
Yeah.
And still are.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty crazy.
I think, again, you know, challenging times, great leaders come to, and I think, you know, the pandemic and so much time, I think one thing that I've noticed now is, you know, certainty's gone out the window. Everything is changing so fast. I mean, first you had the pandemic, then the inflation, the cost of living, it just keeps coming and coming. I actually feel, I don't know about you, prior to the pandemic, life was quite a calm. You know, you could plan ahead, but now everything changing. In fact, there's elections happening as we speak. You know, they're going to happen very soon, and that's going to bring disruption. But, you know, one thing that obviously we speak regular and I follow your journey, but, you know, you've seen the other side. Like, you've been to countries where most people would say, oh, don't go there. You know, growing up, you know, England was our first country and that's where we thought we'd just stay there. But tell me about your journey, your traveling journey, and which countries appeal to you and what you found different actually physically being on the ground there and staying there for some time.
Yeah, well, it's been interesting, but I'd say, you know, I can remember, if we rewind to 2020, I think 2019, everything was going so well. Yeah. Everything was so calm. I was living in London. I was growing in my career. Everything was going in a certain direction. And then out of the blue, Black Swan event, COVID comes out, and all of a sudden everything changes. And I can remember sitting there with you on I think it was middle of March near my birthday.
Yeah.
And we were saying, you know, oh, well, they're going to lock down for 2 weeks. I think within 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be back to normal.
Yeah.
We had those conversations. And then 2 weeks passed. I think by the end of the month, I think it's going to be back. We're going to be back to normal, I think. I think the lockdown's going to stop. Yeah. And then we're going to go back to life as normal. And then another month went past. And then another month went. Then a year went past. And then probably 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Years of our lives went past. Now, I feel sorry for a lot of the kids who had their school life disrupted by this. Yeah. You know, they're sort of the years they would remember. But then that taught me the lesson, because I was waiting and waiting and waiting, saying it's going to come back. And I realized what you have to do is seize the moment, and you have to take the now and do the best that you can with that. Yeah. So that's why in the end, I decided to leave the UK. It was a whole load of reasons. But then I went and explored the world. And every year since then, I've been to about 15 plus countries a year.
Wow. Yeah.
New countries. Mm-hmm. So I've seen totally different sides of it. And I've seen what other countries have to offer. And it's given me a totally new perspective on the country I'm from, England, and all the rest of the world by doing that traveling. And I don't think you can ever get that perspective if you never leave.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you got to put yourself in a position where you can go and explore. But I would argue that a lot of people have the opportunity and just don't take it.
I think we'll go into your story about where you stayed, but I think I can remember talking to Patrick McDavid. I think I got Patrick, there was Elena and Grant straight away on the pandemic. We did it from home on Zoom. And Patrick said on his interview, this thing is not going away. You know, we all thought 1, 2, 3 weeks, but he was like, you know, get focused, get down, start making them calls and adapt. And I think that's what good entrepreneurs do. They adapt. Now, obviously, we didn't expect the pandemic to come and change everything forever. But what I think it did do is people like yourself, I've said, actually, you know what? This has happened. You've dealt with it. Go and explore. See what's out there. Because I think it gave people the push as well to actually, in fact, it opened our eyes to certain things that were closed. You know, I don't know about you, I question everything. If I get told something, I'm going to question it. Whether it's a vaccine or it's anything, I'm going to question and do my research. In fact, again, I'll relate to Patrick because I got a lot of respect for the guy. And I can remember talking to him about it. And he was like, look, Jay, just do the research. Do the research, do the work, and then make your judgment. His dad took the vaccine, Patrick didn't, but I did my research. And then you make a decision. A lot before all the pandemic, I think what I would do is just listen to someone and just do it automatically. In fact, I think we're conditioned like that. Our parents were conditioned. You go somewhere, they tell you what to do, you do it. But especially now, I think we now question things more. I don't know about you, Luca, but I certainly do that now.
You got to do your own research. You got to think for yourself. And I think as much as it, for a lot of people, was a terrible time, it's also a blessing because all of this stuff was going on before. The media would lie. You know, you wouldn't get told the truth. A certain narrative would be played out on everything. Yeah. But then you were in the dark with it. Yeah. But COVID brought it all out into the open.
Sure.
So then you were now aware. So the first step was just becoming aware that maybe the world isn't exactly what we thought it was. Maybe what they told us about this wasn't the exact truth.
Yeah.
But it brought it out so you could see it. And I think it woke some people up. It woke a lot of people up. If it never happened, massive swathes of the population would still be asleep.
Yeah.
But with that being said, a lot still are. But still, I'd say we're ahead of where we would have been if it never happened. So it was kind of a blessing and a curse at the same time, I would say.
I think action takers will take action. And I think what I've seen is my own network of entrepreneurs is a lot of them will come out stronger. I mean, I focused and made things happen in that time because, you know, when you've got to do something, you've got to do it. You've got to focus on it, whatever time it takes and come out the other end. And I think a lot of people have done that. And all the entrepreneurs I know and yourself, you adapted. But I think what's interesting is what you discovered when you traveled. Now, tell me some of the countries you went to and tell me what the takeaways. Like people sitting in the UK now, they're like, think, okay, UK is the only option. But me and you know, we've just spent some time in Dubai. There is other options. But, you know, Dubai wasn't the only country you went to. What other countries can you share with the audience and, you know, your experiences?
Well, Dubai was the first one. So January 2021, I went to Dubai. I had heard about it. I'd heard about what other people had said about it, the positive and the negative. Mm-hmm. So I went there myself and it's a very interesting, you've just been there yourself, right? Yeah. So you've got a fresh image of what Dubai is about. I'd say Dubai it's an incredible place because of the fact that it's one of those places where, you know, if you were to place a bet on, if you were to take a random town in the UK, not to bash the UK, and say, will this town look better or this city look better, be better to live in 10 years' time, or worse to live in 10 years' time? You'd probably say worse. But Dubai, if you were to say, is it going to be better or worse in 10 years? You're going to say in 10 years, it's going to be way better than it is now because they're constantly improving and expanding. Obviously, the tax situation there is great. The safety is immense. You experienced that yourself.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry at all about anything. And that goes for the whole of the UAE. And actually, most of the Gulf region, I'd say Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, it's all the same. And that was one side of it. I would say a lot of people will say, well, Dubai has a lot of surveillance and cameras, but then they use it for the right reasons. They use it to protect the people who live there. I'd say other places might use it for different reasons. So it's all about how you use the technology, not the technology itself. Like AI. AI could be used for good. It could be used for bad. Maybe Elon Musk has got good ideas for AI, but maybe other people want to use it in a way that's going to negatively impact people and give them more power. So it depends on which direction you push it in. So Dubai is one place that's very interesting. The other place that I spent a lot of time is Armenia.
Right, yeah.
Armenia is an amazing country. Not many people know about it. A lot of people, if you say Armenia, they're going to say, what, Romania? No. Not Romania, Armenia, although I'm sure Romania is great as well. Armenia is a beautiful country. You'd be so surprised when you go there in just how beautiful, clean and nice and pleasant the city is. And it's a totally different experience to go and visit a country like that.
Yeah.
Because most people who live there are Armenian. 99.9% are Armenian. And because they're not a huge country or a big global superpower, they have this pride for their country, but they're also happy for you to come in. They're very pleased to see somebody come in and enjoy their country.
Yeah.
And if you were to have a bad experience in that country, there'd be a big shame on an Armenian. You know, if an Armenian was to rob me in Armenia, it wouldn't be that they wouldn't react in a sense of, oh, this is, you're a foreigner coming in, you deserved it. It will be a big shame, a huge shame for the nation that this Armenian had done this to me. And that's never happened to me. Yeah. It's one of the safest countries that I've been to. And people wouldn't expect that. You know, when I say that to people in the UK, I was living in Armenia.
Yeah.
They say, wow, isn't Armenia really dangerous? But it's actually one of the safest places I've ever been to. And I could say the same for the whole of Eastern Europe. And what's the reason? Well, as I said, most people there are Armenian. They care about their country. They've got a pride in their country. They don't want to see it destroyed. And then on top of that, there's a very strong religion. The Christianity is very strong. So when you've got religious traditional societies, mostly native people, I mean, it just kind of works.
Yeah.
It just works. The crime is low, and also usually the people are very good as well. Yeah. So I found the people amazing, so welcoming, so nice. And yeah, I've done quite a few things there. I've got a business interest there. Got some staff there. So it's been an amazing place for me as well, Armenia.
Yeah. I know I was listening to your stories when you've gone over there. And even for me on the outside, I'm like, Luca, you sure you're going to Armenia? He's like, I'm going to check it out. And you've gone there and you've built some foundations there. I mean, you can go there anytime, you can live there anytime. It's opened up your options, hasn't it? And I think the more and more you go out there, you realize, I mean, look, Dubai, for instance, when we went, we had a great month there recently. And we went in Ramadan. Now, obviously, I'm not Muslim, I'm Sikh, but respect all religions. And even that, you've been there a long time. And when you go there, it's so welcoming. They've got mosques there, they have prayers there, but, they don't bother anybody else. They let you live your life the way you want to. No one's going to say anything to you, as long as you respect the laws. And you obviously, you'd be tolerant to certain things. But I'll be honest, it's so open there now. It's so westernized. You could be in any country in Europe, obviously with the safety, and you couldn't tell the difference. They've got pools there, they've got everything there. And that's why more and more people are going to Dubai, because they've got everything plus the security. And not once did I feel unsafe. I could leave my kids, in the malls. I wasn't worried. And that pressure as a parent, having your kids and you can just leave them. Whereas in the UK, you're always keeping an eye on them. Something can happen at any time. We know that. I mean, even at city centres, you walk around, there's people doing drugs, glue sniffing. And it's just, I don't know how we tolerate this as a society, but for some reason they do it. But I wouldn't send my kids there. Whereas in Dubai, no problems. happy to let them go and go and shop. So I saw the real difference there. And I think you got to get on the ground. I think any country, go there, experience it, then make a judgment rather than just listen to the media, who will obviously tell you a different kind of thing, won't they?
Yeah. You've got to experience it yourself. And Dubai is very interesting. It's like you say, it's very safe.
Yeah.
But, even Dubai, if you actually ask people in the UK or in Europe about Dubai, if you mention Dubai, I've seen this a lot, people will say the most crazy things that if you've just been there. I mean, when I went there, I hadn't read anything about it from the media, or I hadn't spoken to people about it. Yeah. I just sort of had a look myself, thought, yeah, looks quite good. Went there, experienced it for myself, yeah. But if you ask the average person, they're going to say, oh, Dubai, isn't that really oppressive for women? Can you believe that? And the women I know who go there, who absolutely love Dubai, just find that hilarious. And lots of people that, my mother loves it, my auntie loves it, my girlfriend loves it, your daughters loved it, your wife loved it, because for women, first of all, it's probably one of the only times in their life where they'll just feel like absolutely safe and at ease in any environment without any worry in their mind. And I think we can never fully experience that as men because we've never felt that way that a woman might. So that for them is amazing. And secondly, people seem to think that they have to walk around covering themselves up. And of course, I think women who go there should show a level of respect. Some people who you will see, dressed in a certain way, which I would say it's not advisable. Having said that, they have the freedom to wear whatever they want, pretty much.
Very tolerant.
It's they understand that people come from a different culture, different backgrounds. So I would say to anyone, just show a level of respect, but you don't have to limit yourself and dress in a different way necessarily than you would.
And also, that's on the family side, which is one element. I mean, also, if you think about business side, when I was there, the amount of business I could see happening was phenomenal. Everybody's there is open for business. They want to network. I was walking with my daughter down the marina. We were just walking and I was talking to someone about real estate because I'm in real estate. And this guy, just came and goes, did you say real estate? I said, yeah, young guy, must have been 20. And he said, oh, I'm a real estate guy. And he started talking to me, telling me about his journey. His mum was a Filipina when she came, and he's done so well now. And he was pitching me ideas, and I thought, oh my God, that's so great. I was more interested in this guy with his own story. He's so young and he's done so well. So everybody's doing business all the time. And even I went for a coffee, again, met this really good guy from Poland, owns a shop, he owns petrol stations, made a good connection. The connections there are phenomenal. It can open doors for you on business side. So if you're open for business, that's another good reason where Dubai, I think, has a lot of people coming in. They're open to it, and obviously the property market's doing really well. But, for you, how is business in Dubai? How has it been for you, networking and meeting people and collaborating?
Yeah. Well, look, you've got a system in Dubai where to even live there, you have to be basically offering something to society. You can't be a freeloader, You have to be either employed or running your own business. Otherwise, you're not there. You're not living there. Yeah. So because of that, you've got quite a young population.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are working, people who are going there for an opportunity in their career, people who are going there to level up their life, people who are going there with ambitions.
Yeah.
And second of all, because of the environment they create, not only for the business, but also the taxes, things like that, you attract people who want to come and you attract people for the right reasons, I would say.
Yeah.
If you're attracting, entrepreneurs because you've got a favorable tax regime versus attracting people who are going to offer nothing because you're going to give them benefits for sitting on their backside at home, you're going to get two different demographics of people going to said place.
Yeah.
And with that, I think Dubai attracts the right people. Mm-hmm. And then these people make it just foster an amazing business environment where people are looking for opportunities, looking to collaborate, looking to make things happen.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think I can relate that. Obviously, when I got into recruitment in 2004, when the borders opened for Europeans, I saw the Eastern European people, the Polish, the Slovakian, the Latvian, have such good work ethic. I mean, crazy amounts. That in recruitment, it was so easy for us to fulfill the roles. And then I've seen them develop into such good people. But then I saw the other side. Whereas as soon as they figured out the way the system works here, benefits, it actually paid them more to sit at home than go to work. And that's where I think the flaw was with the benefit system. We didn't get that sorted quick enough. And what's the incentive, for someone who can sit at home, get housing benefit, get loads of stuff versus working for a living? Now, some people have got pride and they will do that. But I think the government should have made it harder for them to get benefits and keep working, and it pays for you to work. And you hear all this stuff on the news, it pays to work, but it doesn't really, if you think about it, all the tax, the inflation. So we've got to make it easy for people to come here and be able to earn well and stay well versus the benefit side, because after a while, if you're doing a hard job and it's easy to sit at home, you're probably going to take the easy option, especially when you can't grow anymore. The taxes here. But yeah, and I think Dubai, for me, you're right. You have to have a level of entry to go in there. It's not for everyone. You have to have a certain amount of wealth to go in there. Not much. I mean, you can build your wealth for sure. There's lots of people who go in real estate and you can work hard and do that. But once you're there, you have to work. There's no free care there. You have to pay for the care. But, that's what we want, don't we? We want a competitive society that says if you work hard, you get rewarded and you get the benefits from that, don't you?
And also countries themselves should be a free market, capitalistic competition. If Dubai want to run or UAE want to run their country this way, you don't have to go there.
Yeah.
You can choose another place, right? So people want to point at this country, point at that country. I don't like their system. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just like I can say, I don't like Coca-Cola, so I'm going to buy a water, like Cristiano Ronaldo said, right?
Yeah.
But every country should run the society they want to do it, and you should choose the place that aligns best with your values and how you want to live your life. And maybe that changes as you go through life. Maybe you start off at when you're early 20s, you value something more, and then when you're in your 60s, you value something else more, and that's normal. But I think there is a lot of options throughout the world. And I think the more options you can create for yourself, the better you're going to fare in this uncertain world that we have right now.
Yeah. And I think it's great that people like yourself, people in our network are travel vlogging as well, and showing people the way forward. When I was growing up, there was nothing. There was virtually no YouTube. So you just stick to one place and you made it work. But now there is options. If you don't like something, you can travel. And I think Armenia is definitely opened my eyes up since you've been there. And obviously in Dubai, I went there myself and experienced it. Went to Burj Khalifa, But even the Burj Khalifa, when we went for that meal, Luca, I just saw so much construction. There's still so much to grow in Dubai. When I went to Dubai, my expectation was a saturated market. It's so many people there. But if you go there, there's a building going up everywhere. That place is just getting started, if you ask me, from what I could see. More and more people are coming in. I think the Sheikh wants to, triple his population. The housing's going up. The market's strong. So if you think you've missed out on the opportunity, I'll probably think again. The opportunity is there. You can go there. You can make it. In some areas, like let's say London back in the day, people say it's saturated, with the markets. But I think Dubai, you could still make it even now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked to get it in 19 no, before I was born. I know somewhat, you're
giving me the age away now.
There's some British entrepreneurs who got in earlier, I know, who got in there sort of 1980 something.
Yeah.
And they built immense wealth by being there throughout the whole journey.
Yeah.
But what do they say? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time is today.
Yeah.
I think what makes it interesting to me is in the West, you talk about democracy, right? And democracy is so great.
Yeah.
And I agree, the idea of democracy is great. The people vote, the people have their say. Now, in the Middle East, they don't have democracy. They have a monarchy. You have the sheikhs, you have the sultans, you have the kings, right? Now, I would argue that democracy is generally better than a monarchy, a better system, but probably not if it just so happens that the leader knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So if you look at the sheikhs in the UAE, they're phenomenal. They've got an incredible vision for the country and they're good at what they do. And every sort of next generation, they've taught the same principles to carry on the legacy. And unless something crazy happens, that's going to keep on going in the right direction, right?
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, if we got in the UK all of a sudden a prime minister that was as good as the Sheikh of Dubai, right? That'd be great, but then he can get voted out in a few years, when in reality, we could do with him for the next 30 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's the sort of thing where I'm torn, because I used to think, well, democracy is the way. But then I think, well, imagine if the Sheikh of the UAE or Dubai or Qatar could just get voted out for Boris Johnson, and the next thing it goes downhill.
Yeah.
So it's almost, if you're lucky enough to have a sheikh or a king or a leader who's just brilliant, you're in a much better situation than having democracy, but you could get some idiot come in.
Well, you look at the most respected person from the UK around the whole world. If you mention this person, everyone had respect, and it was the Queen. You know, even Russia, the Queen was so respected, the mother of everything. And she was a monarch, you know, with more respect for her than our politicians. I mean, you know, and that's the thing. Whereas in Dubai, it's still the monarchy. And it's run well and it's run fair. I believe it's run fair for what I could see anyway. You know, I've not lived there. So, but generally speaking, the system works. And, you know, and put that against democracy, you're right. You know, but democracy, the way it was actually founded, it's not the same as it. The politicians should work for us, but we're like, you know, politicians are, you know, we put them on this pedestal, or they've done it themselves. And now what's happening is they're making decisions without consenting anybody. They're putting narrative, they're asking us, but they're not really. If you think about it, these laws are getting passed. You know, it's not really a democracy. You know, they've got so much power.
True.
So, you know, I get it. I mean, if people think, you know, one is better than the other, I challenge that viewpoint now. We wouldn't before, right? But now you probably would, because you've been there on the ground. Is Armenia democracy? How does that work?
It's democracy.
Yeah,
I mean,
it can work, you know.
I mean, in these, I mean, I'd say in Eastern Europe, there is a lot of corruption, you know, in all of these nations. And, you know, you do see...
Depends how you define corruption.
Yeah.
there's intelligent corruption as well.
I mean, it's probably, I would say it's a little bit more blatant. You know, in the US, it happens at such a high level that it can be hidden a little bit. And you might wonder why, you know, the presidents, the politicians who have been career politicians are worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just smart, you know, incredibly smart business people. I don't know, but it's the same everywhere. So there is a lot of corruption in Eastern Europe and places like that. But I would say the best places right now for safety, for life, are probably Eastern Europe and Middle East. I would say that's from my trial. I really like Serbia.
Yeah,
Serbia was great. Love Belgrade. Been to quite a few places there. Where else have I been that's been good? Do you know what? I actually really, it's interesting going to the Nordic countries as well. My local team, Burton Albion, just been taken over by
the Brewers.
Nordic investors.
Our friend Ben's exited now after such a good reign of Burton Albion.
But they've got this. I'd say the Nordic countries are interesting because they're they're closer to socialism, but it does sort of work for them. You know. It's not, it's in a way, you know, people can go there and be successful, but at the same time, people, you know, a lot of people are sort of content having their, you know, a nice, well-paid job and living a nice, comfortable life. So they've got a good balance there. I'd say, but they're very expensive places. Yeah. Norway is one of the most expensive places I've ever been. I've been to so many places, I can't even think.
So if I pushed you for one place, where would it be?
One place.
If I said today you're going to live there for the rest of your life.
Burton-on-Trent.
Burton-on-Trent. Come on, you Brewers.
Do you know what? It's such a difficult question. I think when the problem is, it's almost like taking the red pill and the blue pill. So if you've taken the blue pill, if I just lived in my hometown for my entire life and never left the walls of England, I could probably live quite a content life in England. I'd be annoyed about some things, not so happy about other things, happy about certain things, got family. I really like Portugal.
All right, yeah.
I really like Portugal. But at the same time, again, because I've taken the red pill and been out and travelled, I wouldn't want to live all year in Portugal.
Yeah.
I'd want to flip it. I want to get almost a few different seasons.
Yeah.
Want to have a nice hot Dubai winter.
Follow the sun, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe Portugal in the summer. Maybe go to Armenia. Maybe come back to UK for a bit.
Well, with the UK is summer now and it's still cold, so you can come anytime. The weather's always the same here.
That's true.
And if you want to do guys, but so I think you're right. Back in the day, I think that question was relevant. Where you'd like to stay, or like to stay in America or wherever. But now it's more a case of you could move, especially with your lifestyle and what you do for your living and your business. That's allowed you to do that. And that's the benefit from when I first started in business, from where you are now. You don't need to be in a physical location to run your businesses. You've got people around the world working for you. You can shoot your content wherever, pending, certain filming things. So you can do that. So I think I want to move on. I mean, Dubai's great, and you can see you've been traveling for the last 4 years, and it's giving you the push. And you share some great stories off air. Maybe we'll do a follow up at some point. But these days, being an influencer now is a lot of goal for a lot of young people. If I'm talking to anyone, the kids are on social media. TikTok's grown massively. I think the last interview we were talking about Musically, how it transferred to TikTok, but TikTok is big as well, and Instagram. So you've gone over your 1 million subscribers. I think you're 1.3 now. And you're growing so fast on YouTube, which is you bought the plaque in, which is amazing. Got a feeling of the gold plaque. So, with regards to the social media, how's that changed over the last 4 years since we last did the pod? And, what are the opportunities for someone looking to grow in that market and become an influencer or have some influence with social medias? Just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, I think definitely it changes all the time. It's a constantly evolving landscape. New platforms pop up. TikTok comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
YouTube is doing its thing, and then suddenly they bring shorts out. Then Instagram had their rise, and now they're just sort of, I would say, stagnant. What else we got? Snapchat's making a resurgence. There's lots of things going on with Snapchat. So the platforms are always changing. The style of content's always changing. Even as we were talking about before, podcasts were not so big. Like when you started podcasts, they were nowhere near as big as they are now. And not only were they not as big as they are now, they didn't have the same reach on short form. People posting podcast clips go crazy viral as well. Yeah. So it's always going to be changed. So you have to stay on top of that and know what direction to travel the latest trend is going. Now, as for kids who are wanting to be influencers, I'd say this ties into two things. First of all, I think some kids want to be influencers, but it's maybe not the right path. Mm-hmm. Also, I'd say it's just the same. Kids wanting to be influencers and seeing a side of it through it. Kids see a content creator and they say, I want to be that. I want to be this YouTuber. But they don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes. As a kid, you don't know that. You're unaware of the business side. Yeah. Because you're only seeing the front end. You're only seeing the end result of the video. Right. You're only seeing the act somebody is putting on the video script, on the vlog or the YouTube or the TikTok, right? And that's probably not the real person behind it. That's a character. That's a character that this person is playing.
By the way, go on, let's carry on.
That's a character that's a character that this person is playing.
Yeah.
And that's not them. That's not the businessman behind the scenes. A lot of these creators who you see, who do all these pranks, who are messing around, having jokes, laughing on camera, behind the scenes, they're a totally different person. They're a very serious business person.
Yeah.
And they've just clocked onto the fact that me doing this style of entertaining video is going to bring me results, is going to bring me revenue, is going to get me views, is going to do this. It's going to build my business in a way that I want it to go. And that goes the same for two things. One, the kids who see it but don't know everything that goes on behind it. Yeah. And two, the older people who look down on people creating content and just think it's a bunch of idiots who sit there and make these stupid videos, when actually it's people who have got a very clear business plan. And if they sat down and spoke to these people, they'd have a totally different outlook of who these people are.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I'd say, kids idolize it, but the older generation, they look down on it. So it's almost like you've got a complete polar opposite. Yeah. And I think they're both sort of wrong.
Yeah. I think the best way I can describe it is, if you think of media, like the TV, the TV is a business model. Like if you watch the morning shows, they are then sponsored by sponsors, the content's created, but generally they're making money. They're not doing it. I mean, a lot of people think that these good morning shows are doing it for people to inform them. That's a business model. It's just done in a different way that you can't see it. Social media is quite similar. It's a business, content creators create content that brings eyeballs. The social medias will then get paid by sponsors. It's a business model. And I think you're right. Kids can get influenced, but that's like anything, isn't it? It's like kids who want to be movie stars. They don't know the movie star, and then you see scandals coming out. You see these people.
But you know what? I've just thought of the reason. I figured out the reason why these people look down on influencers. Right? This is my theory. Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason old fogies and also not so old people, younger people.
I hope you're not thinking I'm an old fogey. Yeah.
You're not yet. The reason these people look down or pretend to look down on influencers, creators, content creators, YouTubers. And why? And if you think about it, they look down on people doing social media content, but they don't look down on people in movies, on TV, some of which have less talent than the people on social media.
Yeah.
And a lot of the social media people have opportunities in the mainstream, but choose not to because they know the eyeballs are on social media. And I think the reason is because people can look up to these guys on TV or on movie screens, and they're just normal people like you and me. But they can think, well, they're different to me. I could never be them. They got a lucky break. Maybe I could have done if I had X amount of talent and got lucky like they did.
Yeah.
But they're on TV. They've been elevated to this position in society, and they're different to me. But when they see someone on social media, which has been amazing because it's removed the gatekeeper. You no longer are at the whim of a random television producer or executive or someone like that who could just be having a bad day and say no. But you can create it yourself. You can create your own success. You've got the opportunity to reach more people by just using your phone and social media. So what it does, it takes away the excuse. Yeah. Because now these people, they can't justify in their head, well, I couldn't do that because I haven't got the opportunity or the break. They can only say, well, this person, he's just being stupid, and I would never do that on camera. That's embarrassing. This person, they're just doing cheap pranks to get likes on social media. But I'm above that. Right? But they can say whatever they want, but they could take their phone out. Everybody's got a phone in their pocket. They could create content, whatever content they want, and they could grow an audience and have success in social media, but they don't. But now they've got no excuse.
Yeah.
So they can just point the finger and look down on these people and say they're doing, I've got a 9-to-5 job, and that's more noble than him who just does videos. Yeah. That's what they want to say.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't look down on the 9-to-5. And most people I know, they don't look down on people who work a normal job. They say, well, that's a good hard worker who supports his family. Great.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah. And I think if they did do it, they'd understand. Like we're sitting in a studio here, there's 3 cameras there, there's editing going on, there's filming. It's a proper, it's a proper way of doing things. It's not, I know you can get your phone out, I know you can do that, but actually once you start getting involved, the creativity behind it, the teams behind it. So if they did actually know how it goes, they'll realize and think, hold on, there's a lot that goes on behind it as well. So you're right, there is no excuse for people to do that. They can do it. But you're right, I think that's happened in history where people, rather than doing something, they'll point the finger. It's like people sit here and say the UK is trashed or talk about it, but what have you done about it? Have you gone out and explored? Because some people have gone back, I've gone to the UAE and come back to the UK. Fair play to them. At least they've done something about it. I think a lot of people talk a lot, but you've got to do actionable steps. I mean, I'll go back to my earlier podcast. It's about actionable steps, day by day, doing things, testing the market. My great coach is a test and measure. And then you do get your answers. But sitting there pointing the finger and saying that person's doing X, Y, and Z, let me tell you now, the influencers, I've worked with many, I've known Luca nearly a long time, they do put in the work. It takes skill, opportunities, you've got to do everything.
Well, you've run big businesses, right? So you've had the same thing probably. Yeah. People say, if you've gone and created a business out of nothing, someone has got to make up a story in their head of why they couldn't do that. Yeah. So people probably, if you're in Dubai, in a place that's more open to it, people are probably going to give you a bit more credit for what you did. But I would say in the UK, I don't know if this is the case, but you probably haven't had many people coming over to pat you on the back and say, well done, you built a business from nothing, no money, no investments, and you sold it. There's probably not too many people who are saying, well, that's amazing, Jay.
Yeah, and listen, there's a lot of business people that don't come on podcasts. I've not done this for some time because I've been focused on something far bigger. And you're aware of that, Luke, and I've been working hard, probably my biggest achievement today. But I can still come on and still talk. My business has been running in the background. But yeah, I mean, no one pats you on the back. Even though I've achieved something so big, no one's pat me on the back. No one said, well done. It's just the way it is. But they're happy to point out any mistakes you make. They'll point out straight away, And I think possibly that's a bit of a difference between the UK when you go to Dubai. If you share anything in Dubai, people look for the good. They'll say, well done, you've worked hard. Yes, you can put things down to luck, but I believe you create your own luck by putting your effort in and rewards. And, and I think going back to the topic of, my young kids are growing up around social media, obviously there's dangers around it. I think you need to be careful as a parent. I am, because the algorithms are kind of put that way to get attention. I mean, there's plenty of information about Steve Jobs and a lot of these people who created the iPhone and social medias. They don't give it to the kids to a certain age. And, I think that's right in my opinion. But once you get there and you want to be an influencer, yeah, why not? Go for it. Give it a shot. There's effort and there's rewards as well. I mean, Luca's testament to that. He's become one of the global influencers around the world and does great content. So yeah, I think opportunities there, like anything. Listen, you try it, it might not work for you, It is what it is.
I mean, from the original question that you asked about what are the opportunities, I think the opportunities are there for everybody. And the first thing most people would need to do is find a bit of a niche for themselves. For me, it's magic. I've also done other kinds of videos as well. Some people are travel. Yeah. Some people are makeup. Some people are football. There's a million and one niches. Yeah. That's the beauty of it. It's not a TV channel where you need to be generalized. You can have a specific channel related to one specific thing. Yeah. Yeah. So that's great in itself. Now the second thing is a lot of people are just scared to start making the content. Yeah. But you need to just start. You need to just start putting stuff out there and getting used to it. Even for most people, just picking up their phone and speaking to the phone is weird. It feels bizarre sitting there and talking to a screen. Yeah. Talking to a person, different. Someone could be the most confident person just talking one-on-one. Yeah. Or even to a big audience. But then they put a little screen in front of their face and it's all of a sudden totally weird. So, even just practicing, even just saying I'm gonna film a little video of me in public just talking to the camera can be a good little practice to get you going. But you need to experiment a lot. You're not going to find your niche overnight. You need to put stuff out there, experiment.
Yeah, no, I get that. And the one thing look, I started doing content. I think when we started doing work together, I started doing my own content. And I honestly thought at that time, business, what I'm going to talk with lots of business people out there, but it's your own take on your niche as well. You know, if like Luca's obviously a magician, there's lots of magic and lots of content around that. Now you could be a magician and you might think, oh, there's loads of people out there, but you got your own little twist. You'll have your own little way of doing content. So don't be put off by that. You know, if you're into business, you want to do a business podcast, there's lots out there, but you can put your own take on it, your own personal style. I think that's one of the things that stops people doing content as well. They think someone's already doing it, but then someone, you know, I can remember Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO. I think my podcast came about a year before his. I remember like thinking this new guy's on the block now. You got the Dragon's Den, obviously gig. Great way he got that. And that leveraged him. And look at him now. He's one of the biggest podcast, videocast guys. He's got all the top guests. And he came from right at the back compared to like Joe Rogan when he started and other podcasters. So it can happen. You can change it straight away, but you got to give it a shot straight away. But, you know, going on social media and opportunities, it's there. What about AI? Now, AI, obviously, ChatGPT and a lot of people played with it, but with content creation, you know, some people could say, well, AI is going to create all the content for every single person. Yeah. We're not going to need influencers. We're not going to need teachers. You know, what's your sort of thoughts around that? Being an influencer and how AI is going to play into it?
AI is going to disrupt it. No doubt about it. It's going to disrupt everything in the world. Of course, it goes without saying, if you're doing a job or if your skill is something which can easily be replaced by AI, then you need to probably relook at what new skills you can add to your repertoire.
Yeah,
I think that's obvious. I think most people would acknowledge that, right? I think for me, it's an interesting thing because I've noticed a lot of AI content, you know, and people are getting every aspect of their content done by AI. So the writing of the script, the AI voiceover, which are very good. Mm-hmm. Basically the editing, the B-roll, everything by AI, right? And even to a point, the subtitles as well. Sorry, forgot about that.
Yeah.
So you've seen these videos now, which are there's no human involvement in creating this content, which is kind of scary. Yeah. I mean, maybe a human's coming up with the ideas, but even that, maybe a human's not coming up with the ideas. Maybe the ideas are all by AI, the scripts are by AI, the voiceovers by AI, the edit and the subtitles are AI. So it's taken away that human element. Now, there are some good videos that can get views that are purely AI.
Yeah.
You know, because there are also there's been video before AI really came out, there was videos where it was basically no faceless video and a voiceover.
Right, okay.
So if you have a faceless video, but the voice is AI, it's basically the same thing, except people will probably know it's an AI voice. But it can still do well with the right angle and title and storyline and scripts, yeah? Mm-hmm. But I don't think you can replace people. Yeah. I think the star quality people, you can't replace them. You can't replace Tucker Carlson with AI. If you get an AI that says everything that Tucker Carlson would say, right, and then they put a nice edit on there, or Joe Rogan or Patrick Bet-David, you can't replace these people with an AI or Andrew Tate. You can't just suddenly get a Tate AI that comes out and boom, now you've replaced this person. So I think you've got to also try and become somebody who is irreplaceable, who can't be just farmed off out to a robot that does the same thing. Yeah.
I just had a thought then actually, because do you remember when call centers were in the UK and then they got outsourced? Foreign call. Do you remember that? Everyone said, because obviously I think many went to India, and I can remember everyone saying, you know what, all the jobs are going to be going across, cheapest chips to do call centers. The friction and the frustration of the person trying to communicate with this person was so frustrating that people just stopped doing them. Do you know what I mean? So you could say like, you know, a complete different way of looking at it, but That was the cheaper version of doing someone's job in the UK. But what people missed was the kind of interaction from talking to that customer service person that got where you're coming from, that understood your point of view, and, you know, that connection and giving you satisfaction as a customer. Whereas when you went to India, or not India, or any foreign call centers, you came off more frustrated. Mm-hmm. And I spoke to a teacher about AI, because this was about a few months ago, and they said to me, AI is going to take everything. So I said to this teacher, you know, obviously I listen, and the biggest thing that you guys complain about is, not complain, frustration is marking, is planning, is all this stuff. It says it takes your time away from teaching. So I said, let's think about this. What if this AI could do all your marking, could do your planning prep for you, and you spent more time teaching, mentoring, and sitting with these children? Would that be a great satisfaction for your job? They said, yes. And she just said, you've just completely changed my mind of how I look at things. So AI is going to improve what we do to a point where I can do what I want to do and take out all the stuff that's frustrating me. And I think that's probably a good way of looking at AI from my point of view and how it works. But, you know, I think AI is constantly moving, and I think things will. But just, you know, we'll go into some humorous stuff. I mean, this podcast has been deep. We talked about countries, about the state of the UK, but tell me about behind the scenes. I think people are interested more and more now about influence and how they work. You know, what's behind the, what's a day in the life of Luca look like?
What I do is I sit back in my armchair, I press one button, then AI does everything.
Love it.
That's it.
That's what we're looking for. That's the clickbait. We'll put that on the video. Jobs are good. What's the AI called?
Luca AI. It brings me a cup of coffee 6 times a day. It's fantastic. Yeah. I'll be selling it with Elon Musk.
You eat once, you have all the steaks and everything.
Yeah. So average day, well, for me, I travel a lot. So one of the beauties of doing social media is you can get that location freedom. Yeah. You can work from pretty much anywhere, depending on your niche. You know, some people, they need a studio all the time like this. Mm-hmm. Some people, they need to travel to do their content, to go to a specific place. Yeah. Travel vloggers, for instance. Other people can kind of create from wherever they are, which is great. Yeah, and we just have a lot of processes for the things that we do, starting from the content to the back end management and the business side of things. So the content is sort of the pre-production, which is coming up with the ideas. Right. So probably one of the most difficult things is coming up with the ideas consistently. Yeah. Because that's what my content's more about. It's coming up with new ideas constantly. Yeah. So unless you have the creative help to sort of constantly come up with these ideas, is quite difficult. So I have someone who brings me ideas on a daily basis, and then I add my own ideas, obviously. Yeah. I've tried AI for ideas. It's terrible. Yeah. Don't do it. It won't give you any good ideas. If you want to try ChatGPT, feel free. Yeah. Good luck with that. Yeah. So we get new ideas coming in all the time. We then look at what we need for these specific videos. So we'll narrow down the videos we need. We'll look at what props we need, what locations we need, what people we need, what camera angles we might need. And then we'll plan it into the schedule when we're going to film them. We'll look at what videos we've got to plan. We got to film every week. We'll put together the schedule. We'll go on little prop runs. So some of my team will go and pick out the certain props that we need. Yeah. Sometimes you can order them in. Sometimes you got to go out and get in the car. But we'll get the props we need. Then shooting. Then it goes back to Then it goes to the edit afterwards. Pre-production, production, post-production, which is the edit, and repurposing the content for all of the different platforms and making sure the content is distributed all the time, every day. Yeah. And then the business side, and then we have different business. The business model, we got ad revenue from different platforms. Yeah. We've got brand deals. We've got brand deals. They take a bit about this, the negotiation on the brand deals. Basically we just keep all the platforms rolling with new content every day. Yeah. And we're always creating new content. And then we got certain partners which we work with who create content for us, which has expanded the business, which helps us grow our different channels. Because we've got my channels, we've got other channels that haven't got my name on. which are growing as well, but we own the channels. So we always need new content. Now, if it was just me, it'd be a lot.
Yeah.
But like I say now, we're picking out new talent from across the world who will come in and create content, and then we'll monetize the content on our channels rather, and then everybody wins with that. So, but the average day, it's a bit of everything. Sometimes my perfect day is just focusing on the content.
Yeah.
But you always get drawn into little things as well. That's why it's good to build a team and have some systems where you can leverage other people a little bit more.
Yeah.
So you can focus on the creative, because as a content creator, when you don't have the distractions, you can be much more focused on what you're doing. And you know that from the podcast when you started.
Yeah.
And you were just building the team and you had all the other things to worry about. And then when you built the team, you could focus more on the interviews. And
Luca's definitely paid attention to my podcast system. So that's all I'm about. But yeah, I think you've given a very good insight there. And I think it's great to watch influencers, but it's good to have this calls as well, this conversations. So people understand the mechanics behind the business. You know, you've already mentioned 8 or 9 things there, the pre-roll, all the editing, putting things together, business side, you know, then you've also got your money management side, your assets, you know, although you make it look easy with the videos, you know, you've given a great breakdown of what it takes. And I know you're always constantly striving to go forward and traveling. But that's what I like about you, Luca. You're always looking forward, you know, the opportunities out there. So look, we've had a great conversation. I've got some quick fire questions.
Okay.
And you're going to hopefully show us a trick.
Yeah, I just need to get
magic.
I need to get it from over here.
Well, you got the magic. I'll get the questions out, and then we can wrap it up together. Right.
I don't know how long we've been going for, because the timer fell off.
We're nearly an hour, so we're doing well. We could probably go on for longer, but let's
57 minutes.
Yep, we've got it right in front of you. There we go. So, quick 5 questions.
Okay.
Just quick answers, yeah? So, what's your favorite magic trick to perform?
Magic trick. Oh, okay. Probably turning paper to money.
Yeah.
Because it's what everybody would want to do.
You did that for me, didn't you, for Tara and the Ellen show?
But I'm not going to, I did. But I'm not going to do it now.
We need something new.
I've got a different one.
Who's your favorite magician of all time?
Favorite magician? I would say Copperfield. I like Copperfield because he took it to another level.
Okay.
David Blaine, but I'd say David Blaine was great. I like David Blaine because he started the different trend of magic. He started showing the reactions of people, and he's really taken it to a new level now, and he does some crazy stuff. So I'd say David Blaine.
Yeah. Okay. Social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube? YouTube. Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'm gonna have to give you credit here, Jay.
Oh,
you knew I was gonna say something.
I'll pay you later, but obviously you didn't know this question. Go for it.
I'd say the best piece of advice was when you said very early on in my business career, you said it's not about taking these massive quantum leaps. It's about just doing 2 or 3 small little things every day that move you forwards. And if you do that, it's going to compound over time and you'll end up having success.
Love it. I love that. That's an amazing advice someone gave you. But yeah, I'll take that. Okay. What's your go-to snack while working?
Snack? Oof. Obviously, it's something healthy, right? It's I like a bowl of fruit.
Bowl of fruit. Okay. So what's the most challenging trick you've learned?
Challenging. I'd say some tricks are harder than others. I mean, it's definitely harder when you're doing it, on live TV. Okay. So I would say it's not necessarily the trick itself, but it's if you're doing it in a high stakes environment where if it goes wrong, it's bad and embarrassing. That's where it's the hardest.
No retakes there.
Exactly.
Okay. So I know we covered this, but let's do a quick fire. If you could perform anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Vegas.
Okay. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, I had one that I watched recently. Goodfellas.
Goodfellas. Okay. So if you weren't a magician, what would you be?
I think I would have gone into. I've always been a bit entrepreneurial, so I would have done something. I would have started some business.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have transitioned into social media, but just not doing magic. Just doing something else.
Business entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You've been entrepreneur. Yeah, definitely. Okay. What's the one thing people don't know about you?
That's a hard one on the spot. What do people not know? There's a lot of people don't know about me.
You're half Italian?
They know that. What do people not know about me? I don't know. Maybe that. I don't know.
I'm making you think on these questions.
I can't think of that one. I'm a big football fan.
Football fan.
That's not even a surprise. People just probably know that.
Yeah. True.
Burton Albion, my local team.
Yeah. Okay. Coffee or tea? I think I know this.
Coffee.
One. What's your proudest achievement so far?
Proudest achievement. I would say probably building up my social media, but specifically actually my Instagram, I'd say. Hitting 1 million on Instagram was my first social media platform. So I've obviously gone and beyond that on many platforms now, but I would say that was the first platform where I was focusing on that, and I took the idea of becoming big on social media.
Yeah.
And I had a belief that it would work, and nobody else believed me, but I just knew if I kept doing it, I could do it. Yeah. And I hit 1 million followers, and that's probably the first million. It was the first million is the hardest.
First million is the hardest. You're right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So if I could have one guest to interview, who would you like that to be, and why?
Okay, so you've already had Patrick Bet-David, Andrew Tate.
Okay, we'll work on that. Favorite holiday destination?
Portugal, Algarve.
Okay, so you're already there. What's your hidden talent?
Hidden talent.
I would say pool, but I beat you, so I can't say that.
Yeah, we can't say pool. I wouldn't say football.
Yeah,
I would definitely say that. Do you know? I'm going to go with football. Nobody knows. I'm good on the ball.
What about writing? You're very good at writing.
Yeah, I am actually. That is a hidden talent. No, I am. I'm a very good writer. I could have been a journalist, but decided not to be.
And he's been serious. He won an award when he was younger, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay, what's the last book you read?
Last book. I'm reading a book called. What's it about? It's a cold reading book by a guy called Ian Rowland, and it's about how psychic mediums use a fake technique called cold reading to pretend that they're giving a psychic reading. It's quite interesting how they do it.
Check that one out. And the final question: what motivates you every day?
I would say just having a big goal. Having a big goal that excites you, that you want to move towards and continue to move forwards. I'd say just keeping a consistent, something consistent.
Yeah.
And then also the people you want to prove wrong. You've got to have a little bit of, I want to do something because somebody else pissed me off. If you don't have that.
It's your fuel. Yeah.
Yeah. If you just have everything's happy and it's great, it's a big goal and positivity, you haven't got the other side of it. So I think you need a bit of both to balance it out, and then you 100%. Can keep going.
Listen, Luca, I want to thank you. You're doing amazing things. I mean, we were laughing and joking when I first met you, when I turned up. And since then, you've just gone from strength to strength. And even since our last pod, you just keep pushing the boundaries. And you'll continue to do that, because I'm going to be right behind you, watching every step and making sure you do that. So thank you for watching that video. If you want to see other videos and great guests, make sure you subscribe and like the video. So you can now head over to my website where you can see a bit of my story of building and scaling my businesses, and also all the free resources and tools which you can help you on your journey in your brand and your business. You can also subscribe on the podcast, so you can check on iTunes, Spotify, and other locations where you can find the podcast. And I look forward to catching you very soon. Thank you.